Happy E3, Zach.
Happy E3, Aaron.
It's only Thursday when we're recording this, but E3 has basically begun with...
Unofficially, but yes.
I mean, I guess kind of. There was the Pokemon stream yesterday, but
right.
I mean, they're going to have their own Direct on Tuesday. But there were two keynote-esque, press conference-esque type things that dropped, and we're going to talk about the Destiny one right now. Let's take a trip back in time to set the scene for what Destiny 2 is going to be. So it launched, and I think we all remember it was a rough launch.
As they are these days.
People were bummed about a couple of things. There was no cross-saving. It was basically the same engine. They had removed a lot of things that the Taken King had put into the game that people really liked. A lot of quality of life things, a lot of interesting game mechanics. It was very bare bones, very similar to the launch of Destiny 1. And then over the course of a year, they slowly righted the ship with Forsaken. And everyone is pretty positive on Forsaken. And then they had the Season Pass, which has been happening. And that's been fine. You and I both own the pass, but have not played any of it.
I think there's also a sense of anger about the Season Pass. Just whenever you announce some sort of thing that people have to pay for before they know what content you're going to deliver, people don't like that. And that was one of the things that Bungie in this stream was sort of open about. They were like, we don't want to do that to you anymore, so we're not going to charge you for some sort of pass before we've sort of outlined what's going to actually be in it, because you're just sort of spending money on faith that we're going to deliver something you want, which is never quite a nice ask.
So a big thing that happened was that Activision was previously the owner of Bungie, but last year Bungie broke free from that, and now they're self-publishing, and there has been this question, what does this mean for Destiny? They're in complete control of, for lack of a better word, their own destinies now.
They've made that joke or statement just over and over again. How many more times do you think we're going to hear that? They're in charge of their own destiny now.
That has all culminated in this press conference, which started out very, in a weird way, where it was just the two game leads, like, standing at a weird table.
Yeah.
With just a sheet of paper that seemed like it had, like, Sharpie written on it. It was basically, they called it their set list. They're going down the line of, like, how Destiny is changing coming in February. And, Zach, they are some big welcome changes.
Yeah, it was an odd presentation style, but I think maybe it was sort of symbolic of them sort of going independent and being a little bit less like a huge presentation from that you might get from one of the big publishers. And now it's just sort of a little bit more intimate, like a smaller, I don't know, hanging out with people you know, sort of a situation.
They really emphasized that. They kept talking about the dialogue between them and the fans and how the two groups of people that are now shaping Destiny are basically just them and the fans. There's no third party getting involved. It's just a straight up dialogue. Like, they're very active on the Reddit, things like that.
Yeah.
They want the feedback and they want to comply with the feedback. So I guess, should we get into the details of this?
We should, because this is really everything that we wanted to know. This is what we kind of talked about in our pre-E3 discussion video that we did about, you know, what's Destiny going to be like moving forward without Activision, and that's literally what they gave us. So,
you know, it's crazy. I feel like at least 2, maybe even 3 times, both of us have been like, this is it. We're done. There's no way they're going to announce anything that would make us come back.
Yeah.
And then they did the Taken King, and we were like, hold on. And then, like, Destiny 2 came around, and we were like, I don't know about Destiny 2. And then we saw some stuff about it, and we were like, wait a second. And then Forsaken happened, and we're like, no way Forsaken is going to get us back into this. And then it did, and now this is happening. They are constantly finding ways to get people back in.
It's what I like to call the cycle of Destiny, where
maybe this breaks the cycle.
You get into it. Well, we thought it was going to be with Forsaken in that Season Pass that maybe they were breaking it just because of the way they were going to be constantly drip feeding more content. But I don't know. It just, you go through a phase where you're like, really into everything that Destiny's doing, and then you get kind of burnt out on it after a couple weeks, and it's time to like take a break for like 6 months until they show off something else, and then you're like, oh man, that looks amazing, and now I have to play it, and it starts over again.
I think this has the capacity to break the cycle because, all right, so let's get into this.
Yeah.
They are doing what I wanted. They are embracing the MMO, the RPG elements. They're going full in on depth. Depth was like a buzzword they kept saying. They want you to go deep into customization. They want end game. They want you to get into the end game immediately. Like they want the whole game faster to feel like the end game, which is great. And let's talk about this. The big news, it's going free to play.
Well, so yeah, the Destiny 2 and all the first year content is going free to play. You'll still have to like pay for this new Shadowkeep DLC. But yeah, that's a huge way to get people to come back or to finally jump on board if they were hesitant before. And that's a lot of content actually to play. So that is a nice deal for people.
It's crazy. And the other big thing, cross saves. They finally have cross saves across every platform, even PlayStation. So we could take our PlayStation accounts that we hold so dear and put them on PC in a couple of different places.
Yeah, so there are two main points that they wanted to really get across. Was one, they're bringing stats back. They want to bring back that RPG. They want to allow people to customize and create interesting builds and sort of separate themselves from everybody else. And then also they want to make it so that it's like really for everyone everywhere. So like everybody can sort of play together no matter what platform, and they stop short of cross-platform, which is really the one thing that would have like completed that vision. But it's my understanding that they can't do cross-platform yet because Destiny 2 is a peer-to-peer system instead of dedicated servers. So they like Xbox people can't join a PlayStation,
that makes sense.
Peer-to-peer. They can't do that. It has to be dedicated servers. And that's, so can I give you my tinfoil hat? Like, I know maybe it's too early to get into that, but can I give you my tinfoil hat theory? Okay. So Bungie is working on Destiny 3 in the background. They're going to make it more to the original vision of the RPG MMO that they wanted to do with Destiny 1 before Activision meddled and dumbed everything down. It's going to come out in 2021 as sort of a next-gen launch window game that's on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, whatever the next Xbox is called, and PC. And it's going to not only have cross-save, but also cross-platform play. And so that way, and it'll be on dedicated servers, so then everyone can literally play on whatever platform, and they can just like freely move back and forth between them.
What, do you think it's going to be a new engine?
Yes. I feel like it would have to be, just because of the new console generation and everything.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's like the promise. Let's talk about this. It is in the launch window of Google Stadia, which is another video we're going to have coming out soon. And all Google Stadia is dedicated servers.
That's true. And that's why maybe now that they have all of this like next gen hardware and this like Stadia stuff that they can be working towards, maybe that's why they need to, like maybe more than ever, they need to start building Destiny 3 if they aren't already like knee deep in it.
That's a good question, because I wonder how long the lifespan of Destiny 2 is going to be.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question.
The way they're talking about it, I forgot the weird portmanteau they used, but like DLCs are now just going to be called basically expansions. So like the new
which I liked.
I like that too. The new baseline game that is 100% free to play. It'll be on Steam. It'll be on everything.
Yeah, that was called Destiny. Part of the breakup with Activision. They have to move it off of Battle.net.
It'll be called Destiny New Light, and you can do whatever you want. Crazily, you have to start in the Cosmodrome if you start you play the first mission of Destiny 1.
Yeah, this was weird, and I think a lot of people were confused by it. But from what I understand, you're just playing that first mission from Destiny 1 as sort of like remastered in Destiny 2's engine or whatever.
It's the tutorial, basically. You play that by yourself, and then right away you're dumped into the tower, and you can do anything, which I think is really cool. But anyway,
it is very cool.
Anyone can play that. That's hours and hours and hours of content. That's PvP, that's Gambit, that's everything. You could just do that. And then this, like the new content that comes out, the first one is going to be called Shadowkeep, and it's probably going to be like a Forsaken sized or a Taken King sized content drop. That'll be $34.99, and that gives you access to the new content. But like when you buy Destiny New Light, you can go to
it's
do
free.
all the
You don't
raids.
have to buy it.
It's free. Exactly. Yeah. You don't have to buy it. You can just start playing it, and you can take your cross saves. I don't know. This is like this. The fact that there's cross saves and the fact that they're going hard into like player depth and complexity and like builds and RPG elements. Those two things they're great. They're really good.
They did also say that you can go to all the locations of all the DLCs, even if you haven't bought them. So, like, I think the moon is coming back with Shadowkeep.
Yes.
They said you can go there. You just can't do any of the missions that are on that location. So.
Oh, but that's what I was saying. So, like, in the Vidoc that they released, which was a great little Vidoc, they talked about their plans looking forward the next 3 to 5 years. So I wonder, is this now just an MMO? Is this a WoW type thing? Or is there going to be a Destiny 3,
That's a good question. Like, maybe our speculation about the fact that they're secretly working on Destiny 3 and they're making all these huge things in the background of all of this, maybe that is just for nothing and it all is just going to be Destiny 2. Or maybe it's just Destiny and they drop the number. They're like, we're rebranding back to the original, and it's going to come with an engine upgrade of some sort, so you're going to have to get a new version of the game or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I can see that being the case because they did, interestingly, refer to it as an MMO, which is something that they had always been very hesitant to. They were always avoiding using those terms. They didn't want to call it an MMO, but now they're embracing that.
We've been worried about that term for a long time. We've shied away from using
MMO.
that. Yeah, because it comes with a lot of baggage. It's like, does that mean it's a subscription game, or you got to play with a mouse and keyboard or whatever? But man. This is one of those things. We're on our own now, and it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck. It's a duck.
Yes. So there were a lot of little things. They popped around. This Vidoc was super long, and they were just did little mini interviews with people oh, what are you working on? What are you working on? And we got to see some weird exotics. There's a hand cannon that's basically a sniper that if you, the more you use it, the more you set yourself on fire, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, and it has a scope on it. It's the only hand cannon with a scope on it.
They revealed that the next raid is going to be, it'll take you back to Destiny's Black Garden location. Remember that from Destiny 1?
Yeah.
All this Destiny 1 stuff, we're going back to the moon, we're going back to the Black Garden. This is my dream. This is my tinfoil hat. I think you're right that the next iteration will be just something it'll just say Destiny or Destiny Forever, Destiny Eternal, some nonsense like that. And I would love if it was Destiny 1 remastered, all Destiny 2, all that's free to play, and then there's new content, but it's like WoW basically, where you get Cataclysm or just content drops. I want it to be full MMO, which seems like what they're going for. I would love, and like you said, new engine, iterate on the engine, make it better, heavily change customizability, go back to the crazy amount of customizability from Destiny 1, where you were doing all those little circles in your different supers.
Well, and even just going back to the drawing board that they had written up for Destiny 1 before that launched, where they had all these different ideas about where to start and all these quest lines that dealt with the different races that you could possibly play and all of this stuff. I want them to go back and start repurposing that stuff for the future of current Destiny.
I legitimately would love to go back to all the locations in Destiny 1. When I have vivid sense memories about Destiny, it's always from Destiny 1, even though I've played a fair bit of Destiny 2, just because I played way more Destiny 1, and it was just, I don't know, it was a more formative experience. Like, I remember every like path of a strike. There were specific things, especially when House of Wolves came out, where you had to know specific locations, like, oh, this is called the Drop, or like this place is called like the Weird Bell or something. That's not the name of the place. But I could get to any location in Destiny 1 just by memory.
You had to. There wasn't a map.
Yeah, you had to. There was no map. But I would love to go back to the Cosmodrome and just like explore with like a new engine, new things to do, but also in addition, imagine this. Imagine a Destiny game where all the content they've ever released for any Destiny is available. I would love that.
Well, that's the MMO thing, right?
Yeah.
To just release one version of the game, and then all the content is always there, and they just build on it over and over again, just add more and more and more and more to it. And I think a lot of people would have liked that with Destiny 1 instead of this reset that happened in between Destiny 1 and Destiny 2. But that happened for, reasons that like they had to do it just to work on the new engine or whatever.
Right.
And I wonder if they did a Destiny 3, if they would have to do the same thing.
I don't think so. I think they, especially because they're doing all this stuff with like cross-platform saves and basically tying all of your inventory and like character stuff to your Bungie account instead of like your PSN account or like your Steam account. I feel like it'll be much easier for them to transition all of your stuff to a new game.
And that's why I kind of want them, they won't do it because they can make more money this way. But what I want them to do is tie everything you've ever bought also to your Bungie account so that you can go to PC, use your cross save, and just be like, I'm logging in with my Bungie account now. Let me download all the content I've ever bought. And then I don't have to then... Because right now, like, cross-save is great, but unless all your friends agree to move with you, because there's not cross-platform play, you're kind of stuck in this weird situation where it's like, well, I want to play on PC because the resolution is higher, the frame rate's higher, I can customize the FOV, and it's just going to be a much nicer experience on PC. But my friends play on PS4, and since there's not cross-platform, if I am playing solo, I'll play on PC, and then I'll have to switch back to my PS4. But if you want to live in that world and do that, and have sort of the best of both worlds, you're going to have to pay for the DLC twice, and I don't want to do that.
Wait, are you sure?
I mean... Yeah, so a cross-platform or cross-save, is great and all, but it's kind of a non-starter unless your friends go with you.
So, like Shadowkeep, we'll have to buy that twice on two different platforms?
If you want to play it on PC and then also still be able to play on PS4 with our other friend who does not have a gaming PC, but he plays on PS4, yes, you would have to also buy on PS4.
What if I only own it on PS4? But can I still play base Destiny with the same account on Steam?
Yes. So
I just can't go to the moon and do the missions, but it's the same character.
Yeah, there was some question, there was some speculation. I'm assuming what it's going to do, if you have like a weapon even or something, or a piece of armor that was from a different DLC, it'll just be grayed out most likely, and it'll just say, you don't have this, you haven't paid for this stuff on this platform.
That's crazy.
I might be wrong about that, but that's the thing that makes the most sense to me. And I heard other like Destiny streamers speculating about it as well, that would probably end up being how it worked. But I wish that you could just buy it once and have it because it would be tied to your account. But yeah. I think you're going to have to pay for the DLC on whatever platforms you want to play it on, which is a little bit of a bummer.
That's the one piece of bad news out of a ton of good news, I think.
Well, but I'm okay with the fact that what I like about it, because you and I haven't played Destiny in so long, and we were talking about it a little bit, and we were texting about it, and we were feeling like the ship had sort of sailed on us as far as Destiny 2 was concerned, because we were so far behind. And I know they've made it like so that you can catch up much more easy, but now...
Yeah, we could probably play for like 30 minutes and be at the new content, I think.
Yeah, and that's like a big thing for them now, is being able to go ahead and as soon as you buy the new content and get it downloaded, you can just jump right into it. So they've made a way for you to bypass DLC or seasons that you didn't buy or partake in and still be able to play the new content. And that part of that vidoc was all about how they know that you want to play with your friends and you want to convince new friends to jump in and play with you. But it's hard to convince new people because you're like, oh, if you want to jump into Destiny 2, there's about like 40 to 60 hours worth of game you're going to have to play before you catch up to where I'm at. And it may take weeks of grinding for light level in order to get up to be able to play with what we're playing at. So, they wanted to sort of make a way around that so that people can still just jump right in and play together immediately. And I think that's the right direction. And it's been maybe too far, like we've been waiting too long for that. So
I wonder, they didn't talk at all about like character differences in
it looked like there were finishing moves that were added,
that
which
was
I
weird,
didn't quite understand how they were going to work.
It's like a bigger version of a melee, I guess. Like, you just like, you can grab an ogre and like kick it and then it dies.
Yeah, and the Titan one was like some super punch. I don't know.
So maybe that's like, I don't even know how that would be incorporated. Is that like something with a cooldown or like what? Oh, another thing they talked about very briefly was artifacts are coming back. I think they were in Destiny 1 briefly.
They were in the Taken King expansion.
Were they Taken King or were they Rise of Iron?
I want to say they were Taken King.
I feel like I got them. You might be right. Anyway, you level up these artifacts and then they have different tiers of things they do. And the final tier, the guy was saying, was like all stuff that basically was like an exotic.
Yeah.
So that'll like change the way you play, which is very interesting to me.
Yeah, definitely adding more perks, both in terms of these artifacts, but also like they were talking about Armor 2.0, where you can sort of take any mod or perk that you've unlocked and start applying them to your armor. And in that way, you can sort of start creating these interesting builds. I kind of hope they also make it so that you can make saved, customized loadouts that you could quickly swap between depending on what thing you're about to go do. That's a thing that's been missing for quite a while, actually.
What about this? Because I'm just like thinking about their partnership with Google Stadia. It's all on Google's servers, so like, and they're the crazy impressive servers where it's like a bunch of teraflops or whatever. If you play Destiny 2 on Stadia, are you just like never gonna have to wait in orbit? Because it's just going to instantly load an instance?
That's a good question. I don't remember what the load times were like when we played Assassin's Creed Odyssey during the Project Stream beta, but...
I don't remember either, but like imagine... Because you can play it anywhere, and Destiny is a game where you can log in and just do a couple of tasks a day. And imagine a world where like I know I say this all the time, but like you're at college or at your work or just somewhere where you have access to a PC, and you want to just like log in, you have like a lunch break and you log in, you won't have to wait any loading times. Like it's instantly going to drop you because it's all like there's nothing local that's preventing it. It is the network, you know?
Yeah. And there was some use case presented on like Twitter or something that people were discussing about how great it'll be for if you're traveling over the weekend, you can just pull up your phone and go buy stuff from Xur.
Yeah,
so you won't miss out on that stuff anymore?
I bought a used Vita because it had remote play, because I would always go to my girlfriend's place over the weekend, and that was during the time of Destiny 1. I would just log in and do bounties on Saturday and Sunday, and it was great. And yeah, I used it to like visit Xur and stuff. Now I could use my phone or like any computer.
Yeah, just a laptop you happen to have with you.
I go to a La Quinta Business Center and just log into Destiny.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, we'll get into like more the nitty gritty about Stadia and how all that's going to work in another video. But I mean, it is nice, the idea of it. And certainly I hope that it improves load times, because the load times when you're just sort of in orbit waiting, those can be pretty long at times.
I think those are going to be gone.
I mean, I hope so.
Unless it's like strikes in Crucible where like matchmaking has to take place, but if you're just instancing into like a free roam zone, I feel like that's going to be instantaneous.
And think about this, that PlayStation 5 leaked video where they were showing off to like some execs and investors the PlayStation 5's load time capabilities, and they had Spider-Man loaded up, and it took them like point something of a second to load something that previously took like 15 seconds. Like,
and that's a PS5. That's not Google.
Yeah, that's not even, that's an actual console that you can buy instead of like some servers off somewhere, you know, so definitely the load times are going to improve next gen. I'm curious what their changeover for next gen is going to be, like what the sort of handoff for Destiny is going to be like when you make the transition to the next generation, because definitely we're speculating that maybe they have Destiny 3 in the works for that, but...
I mean, Destiny 1 was the reason I bought a PlayStation 4.
Well, and we've also talked about how a lot of Sony's stuff that's coming up here in the next year or two is most likely to be stuff that sort of bridges the gap between consoles, where it comes out on both PS4 and PS5. So maybe that's a situation that happens with Destiny as well. That's part of my tinfoil hat theory.
I agree with that. I agree. Like, I really don't want it to be called Destiny 3 because I want them to just make it the living game they always wanted it to be. Yeah. So it needs to be called like Destiny New Earth or some crazy, or just Destiny.
And that's part of, I assume that's part of their plan in embracing the MMO that they were sort of avoiding doing in the past, and that's why they took the strategy of Destiny 1 and Destiny 2, and it was supposed to be a trilogy or whatever. Right. Well, now Activision's out of the picture. They're not beholden to any of the stuff that Activision wanted them to do. So now they can basically make it an MMO. It can just be Destiny from here on out. They can drop the number 2. Which, I mean, honestly, if they wanted to, with Shadowkeep, from here on out, they could have just said, it's no longer 2. Just ignore the 2. It's gone. It's now Destiny : Shadowkeep for this season or whatever.
All in all, I found this to be almost exactly what I wanted. They didn't come out and say, we're making a new, like, they didn't talk at all about the next iteration, but this was all great news. MMO, RPG, it's all I've ever wanted. I am A+ on this first of our E3 videos.
Same. For somebody who was about out on Destiny, they brought me back in, so they did everything they needed to do.
Stay tuned for much more E3 coverage. We're going to have stuff tomorrow and the day after and the day after. There's stuff happening on Saturday and Sunday and Monday and Tuesday. We're going to cover all the press conferences. We're going to have thoughts. I almost said thoughts and prayers, but we're not going to be praying for anything.
All weekend and into next week for sure.
Yes. Starside Cafe at
youtube.org.com/net. And also on Twitter at Starside Cafe. And then, yeah, we have an Instagram. I don't know how much I'll be posting there, but you can go follow it. I do put gameplay and stuff on there sometimes. I guess I put up our thumbnails to alert you to a new video, so maybe it's worth checking out. But yeah, otherwise, you can also send us an email at starsidecafe@gmail.com and check out starsidecafe.com, where I may be posting some written thoughts to kind of expand on some of the stuff. I wrote up about Pokemon up there since we didn't do an actual video on it. So.
All right. Well, we'll catch you on the next one.
Goodbye.